Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hiba.
And I'm Zaid,
You're listening to Diary of a Matchmaker.
a podcast that will take you into our world as matchmakers.
We'll share our experiences and offer advice for the single Muslim.
So let's dive in.
Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode. My name is Zaid and on the other mic is my wife and co-host Hiba.
Assalamu alaikum.
So if you are trying to get married and you're early on in your journey, or maybe even later on, chances are you probably have one of two apps on your phone, either Salams or Muzmatch. And these are pretty much the two predominant apps out there for Muslim quote-unquote dating. Now, I admit I have used the apps at some point back when I was searching. I didn't know what was the best service out there. But I do have different feelings now as a professional matchmaker and seeing things from a different lens. So inshallah, in this episode, we're going to try to be as objective as possible, despite the reservations and things and feelings that we have towards apps.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to throw a few things at you. Number one, the way apps are designed, specifically Muzmatch and Muzmatch and Salams. Salams used to be called Minder at one point, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they're designed is that you see a profile, you see a picture. I mean, the picture pretty much takes majority of the screen.
Yeah.
And at least on Salams, you can see their profile, so you can see a little bit more information about them. And based on that, you either swipe left or you swipe right. And if you swipe right and the other person swipes right, then hey, there's mutual attraction and interest, and then you can move forward and start communicating. Now, objectively speaking, this sounds great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you want to have some sort of physical attraction to the person before you start speaking to them. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
So what's wrong with that kind of approach? Now, the answer to that is a couple things. These apps are free. So when you have, you were just about to say something.
I was just going to say, I love free.
Yes. Who doesn't love free? Everybody loves free. And that's why there's so many people on these platforms, because it is free.
I think we read today that Muzmatch has, 3 million, 6 million users worldwide?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm not surprised.
I think, Muzmatch is 6 millions. I was on the app. So in preparation for this episode, we actually created accounts, created profiles, and we went on the apps just to see what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that we were able to create accounts using random pictures. We used our cat's face.
I used my cat's face to verify the account.
Yeah. So that says a lot about the credibility of the platform.
No, but in all honesty, it wasn't verified. It didn't work.
Oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I take that back.
Okay.
Regardless. So number one, if you're signing up for something as serious as marriage on a platform that's free, you're going to get poor quality results.
Like your mom says, you're going to meet every Tom, Dick, and Harry there.
Exactly. So, I mean, the way these apps make their money is that they upsell you on more swipes, more super likes. So if somebody doesn't like you, you can super like them. So it kind of forces a connection in a way. And there's other ways that they upsell you and make like tons and tons of money.
Different types of upgrades and, of course, the ads.
Yeah. And needless to say, these apps are designed to be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to be swiping right. I mean, even if you might not even see the person. I've seen cases where person's not even looking at the screen. They're just moving their thumb, just hoping and praying. Like when I was in theater school, a lot of my friends and classmates, they were all on Tinder. And it was just a big joke. They would just keep swiping right with the hopes that somebody would match with them and then they would take it from there. So if you have apps that are, objectively speaking, modeling Tinder, then what does that say about the apps, right? Is it the question to be asking yourself, is it designed for marriage or is it designed for dating?
We hear it from our clients all the time, especially when they come on board in the beginning in the discovery call. So we ask them, how has your journey been so far? What have you tried? Out of each 10 calls we get, 9 times we hear, I was on the apps, I was traumatized,
I'm sick of the apps.
I'm sick of the apps.
I need something better.
I need a break. I was catfished. I was
ghosted, left on red,
harassed, scammed.
I mean, you were just reading cases today about like disgusting fetishes and
and people asking like very inappropriate things from the first conversation. People losing money. So maybe that's not like the fault of the apps themselves. Maybe that's the people who are using them.
Yes.
But like you said, it's design itself.
But also, I do believe that the apps, like the people who are running it in the background, do have responsibility to filter out these people.
Of course, yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, so we were reading that a lot of the accounts are fake. A lot of the accounts are inactive. A lot of
accounts have guys that are just looking for a second wife or looking for a hookup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, if you're going to use something that's free, you're going to get poor quality results. Like the amount of time it takes to create, like how quick did you create your account?
Oh, just
barely a few
10
minutes.
Yeah.
For me, I think I created in like 5 minutes.
Something like that.
So if you're on a platform where it takes just barely 5 minutes to create an account, and in fact, on Salams, a lot of the sections are pre-filled. So you can just say, oh, I'm a foodie, or I am... there was one line that says about Fajr, like
my Fajr alarm is Britney Spears or something like that.
Yeah, right? Like weird stuff like that. Yeah. So if you're able to create an account for something as serious as marriage within just a few minutes, that is a bit reflective of the type of service that it is. Like for example, with HOD, I remember Baba Ali saying this, you have to jump through a lot of hoops before creating your account, right? Because he wants to make sure that people that are signing up on that website aren't just shopping.
Yeah,
people are serious. So you're going to go through, I believe he said, like over 100 questions, personality tests, all sorts of things. Because by the time you create your account, you can see other profiles. You've done so much work, and you know that this person most likely is serious, and they're not just there to shop around.
Right. Actually, I have here a screenshot I took today from when I was creating my account on Muzmatch. So they have 13, that's what it says at least, 13 million members on Muzmatch, 500,000 success stories. You're just one match away. Heart.
Wow. Now, there is one caveat here, which is a minority of people do find success on these
we
apps.
heard some people.
Like we've seen this in person. We've like talked to people face to face, and they've said, "Oh, I found my significant other on the app." There are success stories that we found on Instagram, and of course, I can't verify those stories, but we can give them benefit of the doubt that they did find their other half on these apps. But from what we're seeing, both as professional matchmakers, taking on clients, from doing events, the vast majority of people are just not having any luck. They're frustrated. They're seeing awful things on apps. There's been cases of abuse, harassment, just like you were saying before.
Yeah.
And so these are things to be mindful of. We're not making these things up. These are facts.
Hey, if you have a story to tell, we'd love to have you on. Here you'll find a safe space of listeners who can understand what you're going through. Just shoot us an email with a summary of your story at info@halalmatch.ca. So if you remember, you asked me this morning, actually an intriguing question, like what's wrong with establishing physical attraction first before deciding to invest time in getting to know the person and exchange messages, right?
Right.
Yeah, which is actually a very fair question. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ did encourage us to see the other person, to like see if there's this basic physical attraction before moving forward. And that's a fair point. My response to you was that attraction is much more than just a picture. There are so many elements to attraction. It starts with a picture. the tone of the person, how they speak, how they carry themselves, their smile, how they express themselves, all of this, the way they look, right? All of this builds physical attraction. And to base your judgment based on a picture, that is a little bit superficial, because for two reasons. Some people are not photogenic at all. They look gorgeous in person, but pictures don't do them justice. And you might be rejecting somebody based on an unfair picture. That's number one. On the other hand is a lot of people use filters. And their picture has nothing to do with how they really look, with the tons of makeup and the filters and all of that. Same thing. You don't want to make the mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we take on clients, when we introduce a match to a client, we're very careful to introduce things about from their form, right? So we start sharing what their values are, what their expectations are, how they envision life post-marriage. So this forms an image in their head, and they've gotten to know the person from the inside first.
Yeah.
Then we share an video introduction. You hear them talking, moving their hands, and then the last thing they see is the picture. So it's kind of an inside-out approach.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're intentional about that.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to point out about the apps is that I feel the flow of Muslims going to the apps is a result of the failure of masjids. And I really want to highlight this because we have talked about this in previous episodes, and I could talk about this till the sun comes up. It's dark now. But yeah, I could talk about this for days. That when you close the doors to haram, and I say this a lot, when you close the doors to halal, the doors to haram become enticing. Now, I'm not going to start passing a fatwa saying, oh, the apps are haram, but they are platforms that are modeling a dating service. The point is, when as a Muslim, in a Muslim community, you have limited options to begin with. And the masjid is not providing options for you. And they're just doing the random speed dating events once a month. Or they're kind of just, delegating it to the matchmaking auntie, the rishta auntie down the street. And they're not investing the time in taking this seriously. Then you're going to resort to the apps naturally. Your desires aren't just going to vanish.
And on
right?
top of
They're
that,
going to get rechanneled in other directions.
And on top of that, the segregation problem we have in
yes, and that exacerbates it
and
more.
the Islamic centers, all of that. So at the end of the day, honestly, apps are a means, right? They're just a means. You can use them the right way. You can use them the wrong way. And like you said, we're not... Okay.
Is there a right way to use the apps?
It might have come off that we are bashing apps. I don't know. Because we mentioned the negative sides. We didn't mention the positive sides.
Let's talk about the positive sides.
You have unlimited options.
The ability to filter based on location and other things. So you're not just finding a person in some random village in Syria or India or something like that.
But how can you know that who you're talking to, if they are a real person or not?
I would say be cautious of using the apps. Don't rely solely on apps, because at the end of the day, it's a free service. And when you have a free service, like even, for example, matrimonial websites that are free, that are essentially just public directories of people all over the world. I remember I was on one of these websites. I'm not going to say the name of the website, but I was on one of these websites and I was getting random messages from like girls in some small remote village in India who could barely speak English. And I wasn't sure if this was a real person or not. And it was such a waste of time.
Well, what about Shadi.com? I used to hear it before. I don't hear it now.
It's still running. That website is a public directory.
Okay, so if you are going to use apps, how to use them the right way?
Be intentional. Have clear goals and communicate them early.
It's important to have a clear intention. My intention here is to find marriage and not just to keep swiping and feeding that addiction. Also, these apps have something in common with social media, which is their tendency to boost your self-worth and self-validation. You could get addicted to the feeling of having so many people interested in you, so many people swiping right on your profile and just filling you with this good feeling. So that's why we say always go back to your intention and purifying your intention. Know why you are there. You're not there to get swipes and get likes and have so many people interested in you. You're there to find just one person. That's who you're looking for. One person who will be a good spouse for you, inshallah.
Inshallah. Use video calls before getting too invested. Verify early. This is important because if you are speaking to somebody over the apps and all you have to go off of are just 1 or 2 pictures in their profile, you will get invested because you will start forming a very romanticized image in your mind of this person, because they could be sweet talking, they could be saying everything that you want to hear via text. And then you jump on a video call 2-3 months later, and they look like what is it? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like they look like a completely different person. So make the decision to use video calls earlier on. I remember when we were talking, I think we jumped on a Skype video call, I think within the first week.
Yeah.
Right? Within the first few days.
I think the third day or
the third day, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, we were pretty serious and we verified very quickly. What would you say is another important step?
Set boundaries. Just like we said, this process could be very addictive because there are endless numbers. Like I said, Muzmatch claims they have 13 million members. So you could be spending years just going through the profiles. Don't let the process consume your time or self-worth. One more thing would be to ask direct questions. Don't waste time with just small talk, endless chatting. Establish compatibility early.
We have an entire episode dedicated towards asking the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check that out. How to phrase the right questions, what questions to ask. Definitely check out that episode.
Yeah. So instead of spending, hours talking about your favorite TV shows, which there's nothing wrong with that, but because
we did that for a little bit.
We did that, but after establishing common values.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Protect yourself. There have been so many cases of abuse and harassment. If they start asking very intimate questions within the first few days, that's a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Refusal to do a video call, money requests, obviously, inconsistencies in behavior. If they're just responding every 4 or 5 days, that's a red flag too. It doesn't give the indication that they're serious.
Mm-hmm.
So look out for these things. Meet in a public setting.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably bring a friend, your wali, if possible.
Just try to protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
Yeah, you are diving into a dangerous territory.
Yeah. And also, just make sure somebody is aware that you are meeting somebody for the first time for the purpose of marriage.
Involve a third party, not just in the meetings, but also in the decision making. You could get emotionally attached without even realizing. And always let your core values guide your decisions. Of course, with the dua and the help of Allah, let your core values guide your decisions in assessing compatibility, deciding if this person is right for me or not. Try to put your emotions aside, especially in the beginning stages. And inshallah, Allah will bring barakah in your search.
So, keep these things in mind when you're on the platforms, specifically the dating apps. It's just, like Eva said, it's just another means. There's so many different, there are options out there. I wouldn't say there's so many options, but there are options out there. But take the time to vet those options, assess whether or not they are worth the investment of your time, as well as your money.
And your emotions.
And your emotions. And
your sanity.
And your sanity. and choose wisely.
Inshallah.
All right.
Okay,
Until
guys.
next time.
Yeah. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum. If you're overwhelmed and burdened and just don't know where to seek help, let us help you. We can be your personal matchmakers. Visit us at halalmatch.ca and book a free call with us.